He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
Jimmy.
I know you must be excited. Your guy Trump won the election. Congratulations.
Too soon, Jimmy. Too soon.
Do you expect a cabinet position? I mean, how have you been able to digest this? Or are you still in that shock mode?
Jimmy, I'm a black woman and a lesbian. How the hell you think I'm doing?
Imagine a man at his own rallies who is so anxious for applause that he claps for himself and then acts as though he heard thundering cheers when all he heard was the stacking of empty folding chairs. That's the charm of Donald Trump, the president who believes his detractors are fake news and his reflection is a fan. And now, every inflated boast and half-baked notion is reduced to confetti that not even his devoted merchandise stand could sell, thanks to Wanda Sykes' vicious wit and Jimmy Kimmel's mockery.
I mean, that's, is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a...
I mean,
Mr. Son...
His royal... Yes, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again. I mean, I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs.
Talking about President Trump's first 100 days. I'm just curious, what's your assessment about how it's going?
Horrible. I mean, the ratings are showing. I mean,
yeah.
I think Gout has a higher approval rating.
Trump treats the White House like a green room for his own reality show, as Jimmy Kimmel quickly notes. Every choice appears more like a practice run for the longest blooper reel in history than a policy. Perhaps Trump would leave a legacy if golf carts and mug pictures could enhance national security. However, because it takes real work, the end result is pandemonium with a terrible spray tan.
Republicans forced an early recess over the summer to avoid having to vote on whether to release the Epstein files, which many of them do not want to do because it would upset Orange Julius Caesar bigly. So they kicked the can in the hopes that, I don't know, we'd be hit by a tidal wave or something, it would wash away, but it didn't wash away. So they tried another dumb idea. Again, this time the House Oversight Committee released some of the Epstein files, around 33,000 pages of the Epstein files, the vast majority of which had already been released. You would think that of all the cases, the one for Jeffrey Epstein would get a full release, but no.
Trump doesn't even try to hide the fact that he governs the way a toddler hides candy, says Wanda Sykes, jumping in. Loudly, poorly, and with his face covered in chocolate. Small details like the faltering economy or foreign leaders making fun of him are pushed under the rug like a lousy toque stuck too high on the forehead. While his calendar appears to be a smorgasbord of rallies and vacations.
So what's your opinion of why it went this way, why Americans voted the way we did?
Sometimes America is just gonna America, you know? I mean, there's so many reasons why you could say, it happened, but I think, a lot of us aren't like totally shocked, but it's like, okay, you get your hopes up and you think you move forward. And honestly, I blame those damn, Cheerio commercials and showing all those interracial couples. You scared the out of white people.
You claim that he is the only president who can enter a room full of experts and somehow come out of it less knowledgeable than when he started. Policy briefings enter one ear, exit the other, pause momentarily to reverberate off his ego, and then disappear. Imagine observing a wise guy nod when informed about tariffs, only to have him inquire right away whether this implies he will be able to have his name added to more buildings.
Now, there was some new information in the documents. Contrary to what Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi said, there was video of that missing minute of security footage shot outside Epstein's cell. That footage somehow this footage got re-edited more times than the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. And it's a big problem for Trump because the push to release the names isn't just coming from the left. This is a bipartisan effort. It's coming from inside the House. Hardcore conspiracy theorists have joined arms with Democrats to push for a vote on.
Wanda has not finished. She draws attention to the irony that Trump enjoys referring to himself as a deal maker. However, every agreement he makes falls apart more quickly than one of his cheesy hotel buffets. Allies change, trade agreements fall apart, and the only constant is the large signature at the bottom of documents that largely revoke his own earlier directives. Trump's pen would be considered a national threat if irony could be used as a weapon.
Well, what do you think? What do you think? Like he could do to maybe make things better?
Resign?
Yeah.
I think that'll. I know. But at least, at least he was a little smarter this time. Just a little, because the first term, he surrounded himself by somewhat competent people, right?
Yeah.
But then they all realized that he was an idiot and they quit.
Yeah.
This time he's like, I'm one all dumb.
The president has a special talent for turning catastrophes into jokes, as Kimmel reminds everyone. It wasn't only poor management of the pandemic. With the zeal of a game show host declaring the incorrect winner, it was poorly handled. It persisted like one of his lawsuits each time he said it would suddenly vanish. It went beyond simple denial. It was a combination of denial, lousy campaign music, and stage lighting. By drawing attention to his fixation with crowd size, Wanda further sharpens the blade. Imagine being in charge of a nation of more than 300 million people and being sleep-deprived because so many people came to wait for you in the rain. Trump gauges popularity the way a high school student gauges leadership. Exaggerated stories, Instagram likes, and a total lack of reality awareness. In the same way that people rubberneck at a car accident, the Globe observes, unimpressed but amused. Kimmel jokes that the teleprompter attempts to get away whenever Trump talks. Grammar files for asylum in Canada, syntax breaks, and words pop off the screen. In his remarks, the English language has suffered more damage than his hair had during a windstorm. Future historians will require a translation simply to determine if he was trying to portray stand-up comedy or policy from the podium.
With Democrats, to force it, they want to see it all. They want to know who Jeffrey Epstein's friends are, which I have to say, I know who one of them is. He looks like the guy, that husky one in the pink tie yes. That is a man Jeffrey Epstein described as his best friend. This guy brazenly pulled Epstein's wing woman, his personal madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, out of real prison last month and transferred her into what is basically a courtyard by marriage.
Wanda continues by dragging his fixation on barriers, both literal and symbolic, not just border walls. In order to construct them, he stacks meaningless bricks and arrogant mortar around truth, facts, and accountability. The walls, however, never hold. Like cheap furnishings from his now closed casinos, they crumble under investigation. Bankrupting casinos is a wonderful example of leadership. The House is literally expected to win in this one and only business. Kimmel goes on to say that Trump's foreign policy functions similarly to an inebriated uncle hosting a family barbecue. Alliances dissolving, insults flying, and someone leaving during supper. An inflatable tube guy flailing outside a car store may accomplish the same goals as his handshake diplomacy. Replay his news briefings with world leaders while trying not to chuckle if you've ever wondered what happens when ego meets international negotiations. Trump's fixation on love makes Wanda roll her eyes. He complains more than a reality star who was voted off first, which is surprising for a man who claims to be tough. Criticism turns into treason. Any satire turns become false information, and any information that he finds objectionable is thrown into the shredder of denial. Golf balls, Kleenex, and spray tan bottles should be used in place of the presidential seal, since they truly represent his government.
Oh God, I don't even know the most, but I mean, I know going after transgender, especially transgender kids, that was like, that was good. Because here's the thing, you're supposed to be trying to fix the problems of America, right? So you target a community that's less than 1% of the population, right? So you're going after, like affirming care as far as like the sex, and it's like, okay, so you're focusing on that, on sex change. It's like, how about focus on climate change that affects everybody instead of sex change?
Kimmel reminds us that although Trump liked having nicknames, chaos is the true moniker for his administration. He struts like a man who is certain that he is conducting a symphony when the orchestra is on fire, despite the fact that stock markets tremble, laws falter, and allies run away. A man can claim to be intelligent if he requires note cards to remind him to say hello. The last time anyone witnessed brilliance in Trump's inner circle was when an assistant managed to divert his attention during a somber meeting by using a glittering chart. Kimmel examines the economic situation. Trump boasts about his employment as if he personally hired each employee. However, while he is in charge, every claim of greatness ages worse than a banana in the sun, deficits balloon, and booms burst. Numbers don't lie, but Trump does, as he ignores the real experts who raise concerns and instead spins every setback into a supposedly unprecedented victory.
According to the president, this is all another elaborate, made-up Democrat plot to distract us from the historically awesome job he is doing.
I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from two people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
We are almost at the I never met anyone named Jeffrey Epstein part of it.
Wanda pokes fun at his connection to reality. According to her, Trump views the truth as an optional buffet side dish. Take a small portion, disregard the remainder, and cover everything with ketchup. He is followed by fact-checkers like tired babysitters pursuing a youngster with a sugar rush. Eventually, the question becomes whether he even recalls what reality looks like, rather than whether he is lying. Kimmel returns to his television fixation. Trump is not a TV personality who happens to be president. He is a television star who came into the presidency by accident. Wanda burns his legacy fantasies to end the round. Trump envisions a presidential library with self-portraits and golden escalators, but historians will construct it more like a carnival with rigged games. Funhouse mirrors and cotton candy promises that vanish the instant you touch them. Achievements won't be displayed in the exhibitions. Bloopers, controversies, and the never-ending quest for adulation that never came in the form he desired will all be shown.
Presidents, they've all aged while in office, right? They aged while in office. President Obama went totally gray. His face started drooping, got all droopy in the face. One time I was like, is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? George W. Bush, he shrunk 4 inches. At one point, he was looking like Gollum from the Lord of the Rings. Bill Clinton, he grew that bulb on the tip of his nose. What the was that? Bill Clinton looked like the man on the operation board. But not Trump. Nope. He's on executive time. Trump hasn't aged, but we have.
Every inch of that so-called library would be more about souvenirs from a national ego trip than it would be about governance. There would be framed tweets in permanent marker font, proudly displayed as if all caps outbursts constituted diplomacy, in place of statecraft documents. Imagine visitors meandering through corridors covered with newspaper clippings that document errors rather than accomplishments. Every headline gets louder and more embarrassing, where other leaders evaluated success and stability or development. He wanted his presidency to feel bigger than life, but instead it looked like a traveling circus stumbling from one town to the next, leaving chaos and litter behind. As if government were simply another season finale and the reality show he was watching in his mind, Trump timed his in-applause breaks. Policy victories will not be kept in the library if one ever exists. With flashy lighting and piped crowd noise to create the appearance of importance, it will be a shrine to self-promotion.
Skin, Donald Trump, in his ongoing effort to distract us from the fact that he doesn't want Melania to see the Epstein files, went after Rosie O'Donnell again. He's been threatening to revoke Rosie O'Donnell's American citizenship, which, like peeing standing up, he cannot do.
The archives might also serve as a comedy club, with whole wings dedicated to the biggest farts in contemporary politics, Kimmel would add. There would be screenings of press conferences with words falling apart in the middle of sentences in place of academic research rooms. Basic information were made optional, and geography teachings were revised on the spot. The purpose of a library is to preserve knowledge. Trump's version, however, would uphold illusions, a carnival of hyperbole posing as reality. Future generations wouldn't learn anything from it. They would be misled into believing they had discovered a parody sketch's outtakes. By pointing out that Trump's attempts to create a legacy are just as flimsy as his casinos were, Wanda further sharpens the edge. Historians would not be needed in that library of his fantasies. Lighting crews and stage managers would be required to make sure he is always in the spotlight, even in old video. Naturally, the joke is that Trump believes that gold trim and gigantic scale will bring him immortality, but history will not grant him this either. Even if he might put his name on golf courses and towers, those eventually fall apart or are sold. But the president is not going to give in to branding. Every mistake is documented, every controversy is ingrained in the collective consciousness, and every rage is captured on video that can be repeated over and over again. When the tent is taken down, the funfair continues. It endures in the collective laughter of a country that recalls how unbelievable everything was.
I don't know, a month or so ago, that birthday note and that drawing, the Wall Street Journal, the Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal reported Trump made for his buddy Jeffrey Epstein's birthday, the one Trump claimed he did not send and threatened to sue the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion for saying he did. Well, we finally got a look at the letter thanks to House Democrats who posted it online today. Now, again, Trump claims he didn't write this or draw this, which would mean someone went back in time to frame him for it. But here it is. It's written like a movie script. We didn't make that up. This is under the silhouette of a woman's body. It says voiceover.
Kimmel would point out that even the purported accomplishments Trump brags about crumble when scrutinized. When the hype is removed by the big transactions, the historic events, and the extraordinary actions, all that's left is a trail of unfulfilled promises and partially completed projects. The charade he imagines would be less truthful than a library with empty shelves. There would be drawers of policy reversals, folders of inquiries, and binders of litigation in place of memoirs of greatness. Each one is a monument to ego rather than vision. The ridiculousness of a leader who aspires to be regarded as monumental, yet is doomed to be remembered as ludicrous, would make Wanda chuckle. One day, statues might be constructed, but they will resemble bronze caricatures rather than marble tributes, with their hands extended as though they are still waiting for unfulfilled acclaim, and their hair sculpted mid-flap. The leadership was a laugh track gone feral, the rallies were poor sitcom episodes, and the policies were half-written scripts. Sykes and Kimmel don't just make fun of him. The humor was always there, they admit. All that remains is to determine whether history records him as a tragedy, a parody, or both. In the end, Trump's time will not be remembered in textbooks for its leadership or genius. It will be praised for its ridiculousness, serving as a reminder of how easily a democracy can devolve into a theater when it is in the hands of a guy who is more interested in ratings than in the truth. The tents collapse and the funfair faded, but the laughter endures. His real archive is that, the echo of a joke that lasts longer than the gilded escalator of dream.